Welcome back. In this video, we're going to be going over while loops. Before we go any further, if you haven't watched my video on booleans and conditions, I recommend you go back and watch that because I'm going to be referencing some of the things we learned in that video over here. And also, please subscribe to the channel, share the video, and also ring the notification icon so that you're notified whenever I upload a new video. And so without anywho, let's begin. So what are loops? Basically, these are just statements in programming that allow you to repeat a certain block of code over and over again given certain conditions are met or you're within a certain limit. In programming, you have basically two different types of loops. These are the for loop and then the while loop. In this video, I'm only going to be covering the while loop. I'll cover the for loop in next video. So what does while loop do? Basically, it repeats a block of code over and over again while a condition is met, hence the name while loop. So we have the while loop here, and we can just enter our enter a condition in here. So we can just enter a condition here. So firstly, it takes in even plain Boolean values, so true. And what happens that this block of code will run forever, since the statement is always true. There's no of us changing it to false, so it will always run forever. This is useful in certain statements. Say you're making a game in Python, you use the while loop to define your main game loop, and so it will continuously run, and it will exit only if certain conditions are met. Say since it's a GUI application, you hit the close button, the application closes. Or if you're running a server, you have a main loop that runs forever since you don't want your server to accidentally crash. But one thing you can also do is that you can save your boolean in a variable. So say just create a simple variable called run. So at the beginning of my code, I set run equal to true, although it's true even if I don't assign it. I don't know why I'm doing that. So what we can do is that simply we make a simple input function. The input name, I think it's become a custom at this point. What is your name? And what is your name there? And so all I want to do is print out, or before we do that, I want to check for so if run, if the input is empty, so if the input equals nothing, so if our input is nothing, basically just tap your quote button there. It inserts the quote there, but there is nothing in them. So if our user enters nothing, what we want to do is that we want to set run equal to false. And what this would do is that since if this happens, if our condition here is met, run will equal false. And since run will equal false, the condition here will be false, hence the while loop will stop. Else, so else, what we have to do there is else we just want to print our name. So name, I think I should get a better example than just using the name. So their name, we have Waza there. It turns out Waza. But what will happen is that when I press enter, as you can see, since nothing, I didn't enter anything there, Python registers that, and our condition here, our first condition, is met here. So if condition, so if name is equal to nothing, we want our run to equal false, and since it's false, our main statement stops. Although there is a way to break your statements without using using variables. So let's say, since these conditions here, they can take in any expression, as I had mentioned in my previous video on conditions. So they can take in statements, even equations. So let's say you have some sort of equation, and you want to run a while loop, as long as that equation is either giving out a certain value or it isn't giving out a certain value. So say you want to iterate over an equation, say a quadratic equation, where you want to try multiple values, and while it doesn't equal 0, you want the condition to always run. In a situation like that, you cannot directly assign it to false, because how can you assign an equation to false? So what you do in that is that you use what's called a break statement, and the break statement basically works in the same way, but it's universal, meaning any type of condition we put in here will work. And so what the break statement does is that if our condition here is met and the break statement is called, it will break out of our current loop. So as you can see, if I run this code, yeah, so I can enter anything there, but the moment I press enter, as you can see, boom, we exit out. That's because we've broken out of our loop here using the break statement. We also have we also have the continue statement, and what the continue does is that it continues the loop even if our exit condition has been met. So continue, say following my hypothetical example of a quadratic equation. Usually quadratic equations have two answers. So what you want to do is that you want to iterate, so you want to continuously loop over values. So if you find the first value, you don't want to immediately close the application. You want to find the second value. So in our hypothetical calculation, what we want to do is at the moment we find the first value, we don't break out of our loop, but we continue with our loop. So basically that's what the continue statement does there. And what happens is that if I want right now, I can leave it blank, but what happens is that I can still continue entering. So even if my finger slips, I leave it blank there. Python will basically just ignore that, and we won't break out of our loop. We also have incrementations, and I should have covered this in the previous video, but I kind of forgot. So what we have is say we have an integer here, count, and we have a condition, while count is less than or equal to 100. So as I said, you can type in conditions here. So these are also similar as the types of conditions you can enter in if functions. So while count is less than 100, we want to do something essentially, right? So do something. So basically it's just print, then just print count here. And so what happens is that while count, let's print cannot, while count is less than 100, we'll continuously print out count. But the problem is that count is not increasing. Count is always 0. This is why I use incrementations. Basically incrementations, this is basically how you write them. So count plus equals 1, and all this is doing is that it's getting our current value of count, adding 1 to it, then assigning it to a new value of count. So basically just adding 1 to count. And what this is doing is that since the while loop is running continuously, this is a way of keeping track of how many times our loop has run. And so what will happen is that we'll continuously print out. I hope my PC doesn't crash again. Yeah, so as you can see there, count from, so it prints out 0 from 0 to 100 there, as you can see, and the moment we reach 100 we stop counting. So that's what you can do is that you can increment them by yourself here. And what we can do in this is that we can break out of this if we wanted. So let's say we reached a point 50. We can break out of our loop here, and that's basically all you need to know about these while loops. In the next video, we're going to make a simple, call it a game, yeah. We're going to make a simple guessing game using Python. It will be real quick, but in the meantime, I want you to try something out using most of the concepts we've learned so far. I want you to be able to print out the Fibonacci sequence. So if you don't know what the Fibonacci sequence is, you can Google it. It's basically where you have a number, then you add that number to itself. You have a new number, then you get that number, add the previous number to it, and the like. So what I've whipped up here is a simple application, which if I enter my range of Fibonacci sequence, what I want to say, let's say 10. Assuming this doesn't crash as well. It's crashed when I was shooting this video at first. See. Yeah, it's crashed. Open. Okay, so I'm back. I fixed the crash. Anyway, so back from where I left off. I want you to test basically what we've learned so far: imports, variables, and the like, and just print out the Fibonacci sequence. And as I said, you can go on Google. Basically, just adds numbers, the previous number, the successive number, and something like that. So the way I made this app is basically, if I enter 10 here, if I enter 10 there, it prints out the Fibonacci sequence from 0 all the way to 10. So 0, 1, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. So if I can 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, it adds in an extra value. Not sure why it does it, but as you can see here, so it's printing in it's printing out the Fibonacci sequence. So when approaching this, I just want to give you a simple tip. You can actually nest while loops together, and what I mean is similar to what we discussed in the video on conditions and booleans, where we're able to put an if function within another if function. You can also put a while loop inside another loop. This is called nested loops. I'll talk more about them when we start doing the for loops, but only know when approaching this issue, you can do it without the nesting, but your application will only run once. So I recommend you experiment and you leave your code in the comment. And I also want to remind you of the announcement I made, where the moment we reach 50 subscribers, I'll actually do some extra comment. I'll actually add some extra content onto the channel. You know, Unity game development. In the previous video, Viking posted that he wants a C++ course, and I'm actually working on that. So just leave a comment on what you'd like to see on the channel, and I'll get back to you. So thanks for watching to the end if you did, and have a good day.